Hey, what's going on? It's Bebop here. Today's video is going to be the tank setup I use for the Gorgon Raid. Now, there has been some changes every time I run it, kind of find out something new, and I reached out to one of the best tanks in the game. His name is Abosala Guarahara. Abosala Guarahara. All right, let's go over the gear real quick. I have my attributes set at strength 199, dex 103, con 300. It's not perfect by any means. I know that, but there's some pieces I have that are dex, and so I had to go with it till I can get some better gear. Now, if we look at the gear here, we have elemental aversion, refreshing. Now, I would love to have enchanted ward, but you know, I'm not regimming multiple different pieces right now, trying to save all the money I can. I'm being very cheap, but as we run more M3s and get gear, then I will be able to biss out the gear eventually. Matrixes are too expensive. I have not upgraded Void Darkplate yet. Also, here on the hands, Enchanted Ward, exhausting. Well, that doesn't matter, but Enchanted Ward, refreshing. Right here, Enchanted Ward, refreshing. And LE aversion, Enchanted Ward, and freshing. Now, I'm using the kite shield right here. I was told by someone that does a lot of speed runs that this also works with the greatsword. I'm not sure if that is 100% accurate yet. Haven't tested it, but I trust the guy. So I'm just gonna go with this. All right. I mean, it's nothing to throw it on my back, but the counterattack is where it's really important to gain the end power for 4 seconds. The enchanted ward also. So whenever you slam down with the greatsword, let's see here, and then you start swinging, you'll notice that little blue shield in front of you. Well, if they hit that, it's supposed to proc the counter attack, gain 30% in power for 4 seconds. So, the greatsword, a little bisser I picked up that you can, I got from the auction house for 1,600 gold. Trenchant strikes, refreshing move, keen, absolutely insane still. Keen, vicious, sundering shockwave on the hammer is the best I have so far. I use greatsword because in public lobbies I feel I need taunts a lot, and I love the movement of the greatsword, and it's just more fun. But in public lobbies I need to constantly taunt re-aggro because people aren't grouping up. I ran yesterday's raid and no one even had a great axe. Okay, it's just a nightmare. If you're going with sword and shield, that's fine. I hope you got a group that can really, group them up, pack them together. And then that way you can just stay there and give everybody the 10% leadership. I run the stone form. I need to upgrade it. Slash protection amulet with a physical ward gem. And then I go leeching, keen awareness. I don't have any slash rings yet. Despise and nimble for the earring. Despise really a must for tanks. Yeah, and I'm at, the 300 con, 199 strength, 103 dex. When I switch off of this to the first boss, I go sword and shield. My sword has keen, vicious, refreshing move on it. That way I can get my abilities back quicker. The shield I go with is the best strike shield ward I have. Right now I'm searching for all sorts of shields. So this is what I have. Enchanted ward, shield defense, strike shield ward. And basically the same gear. And then when I come down here to the last boss, actually real quick. And then for the first boss set, I am 320 con because that's just what it comes out to. 100 dex, 181 strength. And then when I go to the last boss, you want all the nature resistance you can get, except for the amulet. So I'm 36% strike, almost 37%, and 36% nature. And I have enchanted ward refreshing. I have the dark plate. I have fortifying shield rush. Now this piece, I could probably find a heavy piece with enchanted ward, but the fortified shield rush I would love having for that last boss especially. It just seems like, man, that thing slams so much. And so the fortified shield rush is a great way to get additional fortify, and I feel like it's really important. Elemental aversion, enchanted ward and health, enchanted ward refreshing, strike conditioning, and then the same strike shield ward, same hammer, same sword, stone form, and then basically the same ring, but this one has focus, so it is what it is. Still gathering gear, people. Despise the nimble. All right, for the sword and shield, this is what I go with here. Get my empower with the heavy attack. Final attack in the light attack chain inflicts 15% rend for 2 seconds. Whirling Blade to weaken the enemies. As you see here, it no longer does the Ren, only if you're in light. Heavy at 16% weaken. And you get your cooldowns for each enemy hit, but I only use Sword and Shield on bosses, so it is what it is. Critical strike chance, increased by 10. Deal more damage to slowed foes. While health is full, deal 15% more base damage. When you block, get a stack of Empower. Lose 1 debuff when you heavy attack. And leadership is the most important one right here. Do not go defensive side ever. Tanks, do not do this in PvE, please. Don't do it. Leadership, empowered all group members, increases their damage by 10%. It's huge. 15% armor increase, 15% or 10% magical increase. Third, attacking your light attack chain does 15% more damage, adds additional threat. Shield rush to stagger and push back foes. And also weaken. It's a big percentage of weaken. 20% weaken for 10 seconds. On top of your whirlwind here. Okay, 16%. So you're doing 36% weaken when you add those two together, which is really, really good. Defender's Resolve. I go 1 down on the tree here. Base damage reduction increased by 20%. All incoming healing regeneration increased by 10%. Get your stamina back faster, get your health back faster. Now, as far as the hammer goes, feel free to choose whatever you want, but I love to have Armor Breaker on. Powerful swing that penetrates 35% of the target's armor and deals 160% weapon damage. Adds grit to Armor Breaker, that way you can use it on the boss. And mainly I spec this hammer up mostly to go against the bosses. I'm not worried about the mobs as much. I got Shockwave and Clear Out for that. That'll be enough. And the mobs are pretty easy to take down anyways. So the grit for the bosses is really good, especially the first boss when he's about to do the rock phase, shooting the rocks out or whatnot. You need to not be moved as a tank. If you get moved around a lot in that fight, you're going to put DPS in a very bad situation and get people hurt. So anything you can do with grit abilities to make yourself not be moved, that is the best. 30% rend for 10 seconds, huge. Right before you break the stamina of the boss, you can hit him with this. Hit him with the Sundering Shockwave, or if you got the Sundering Clear Out, that if you had the Sundering Clear Out, it'd be 25% rend plus the 30% rend. I think 140% rend is cap on the boss, from what I was told. So you can add a big increase to that, and public lobbies lack rend a lot. Increase armor penetration by 10% for all basic Warhammer attacks. Gain empower on heavy attacks, increase damage by 20% for 4 seconds. So when you're trying to bust the stamina, the hammer does a lot more stamina damage than the sword and shield. So a lot of times I do like to constantly spam hammers on the boss to break stamina, then try to get the rends off right before he gets broken, and then I will switch to sword and shield and be on that for the extra 10% damage bonus to the teammates. Adds grit to Warhammer hammer attacks. 12% damage reduction while grit is active, so that way you're taking less damage while it's active. Heavy attacks reduce cooldowns by 7%. 35% extra damage for 1 second after taking damage. Then we have increased armor by 20% if surrounded by 2 or more enemies within 3 meters. Deal 15 increased base damage against targets afflicted by debuffs. Heal 35% of damage dealt while you're using a Crowd Crusher ability. Clear Out knocks back targets 4 meters, has grit. It will also grant you Fortify, increasing armor 20% for 4 seconds to all friendlies within 6 meters. I think it used to be 4 meters. Cooldowns reduced time for the cooldown is 5% per enemy hit with the ability. Using Clear Out on a target grants haste, increased movement speed with 30% for 4 seconds. I love that. And then we go to Shockwave. Staggers, and it is a taunt. It has grit. It causes weaken 10%. Expands the shockwave to 4 meter radius. Okay, the ultimate, don't really care. Not trying to slow targets. Not really my concern. Trying to rend them and do some stamina damage and clear out and, stun the enemies too. All right, well, that is the tanking builds. You really could go with just 2 if you have a solid group. No need to switch out to sword and shield if you just want to do it the whole time. You don't even need this extra bit up here. And you can just worry about sword and shield and hammer the whole time, okay? So you should be able to do it just fine with this setup. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. I do answer back every comment. I will be coming out with a video guide on how to earn money in the game here this week, and some other guides. If you have any suggestions, please leave them down in the comments. I'll try to get to them as quick as I can. Thank you very much, and all the new people that have been coming to the game and coming to the channel. I do appreciate y'all, and us veteran players are trying to be as patient as we can. Well, y'all got a big learning curve, so it's going to take a while, okay? No rush. Enjoy the game. Don't rush to in-game content, please. Just enjoy the game. It's a great game, and you don't want to freaking rush it. All right. See y'all on the stream. I stream every day live on Twitch. Have a good day. Later.